Happy Halloween, everyone. Is it? Is it Happy Halloween? I hope it is for you. I hope you haven't been too terrified by the politicians. I had Jeremy Corbyn's picture there. That's a little bit outdated, isn't it? And even John Bercow, I think he's gone. Boris Johnson has just announced what he has announced, but whatever, the show must go on, and we have been celebrating Halloween or something like that on these islands for thousands of years. It's one of those holidays, festivals that predates Christianity. It was known as Samhain back then, which I think meant half dark, half light. This is to do with the equinox. That's why we put the clocks backwards or forwards or whatever it was. These festivals that people celebrate are seasonal and to do with the sun and to do with where the earth is in the solar system. And at the minute, it's in a dark place in the northern hemisphere. We're going right into the bleak midwinter, and that might be why we might get some kind of a peak with different diseases and whatnot. But I don't want to worry about the doom and gloom. I just want to talk about the doom and spooks and ghouls and all of that. If you've got a ghost story for me, 07491 751 203. What is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? And we're talking paranormal phenomenon here. Something inexplicable. And for some reason, it tends to happen a lot more in third world countries than it does here in the modern, gleaming, shining West, where we've got enough hospital beds for everyone and that sort of thing. Am I unfair to say that when something slightly strange happens in a modern country, we explain it with science, we rationalise it, and in a lot of the poorer, can you say third world anymore? In the deprived countries, people have explanations for this stuff anyway. They say, oh, it was the jinn, or oh, it was the leprechauns. They say that in some third world countries. 33X is saying, the scariest thing for me was when I saw my wife for the first time. That's a bit harsh, 33X. I hope she could see you too. I'm not sure what sort of arrangement you had when you got married. Did you pop the question, or did something else happen? And don't worry, this is all special effects. I hope you're liking the Halloween special effects. We're really pushing the boat out for Samhain. I'm insisting on calling it by its original Celtic name, a pre-Christian festival native to the British Isles, which of course was Christianized and became All Hallows Eve. Tomorrow, the 1st of November, is All Saints' Day, the day for all the saints. Remember All Saints? Showing my age there. And before that happens, if anything evil is going to happen, it's going to be on the eve of All Hallows, isn't it? And that's why we get dressed up. We do a lot of cultural appropriation. I wonder who went in the most culturally inappropriate outfit this evening. Did anyone go around as a Native American? I'm not sure why you'd be doing that here in the UK, but it does go on in America. People dress up as someone else's culture for a laugh, and we mustn't have any of that. Kamil Kellner is here, and that's great to see him. I wonder what you dressed up for this year, Kamil. I can only imagine. And 33X is saying, yeah, my great-granddad popped the question on my behalf 70 years before I was born. Brilliant. And that must have been before or shortly, well, certainly before the partition of India, if it was in that part of the world. I wonder. Anyway, I want to know, what is the scariest, genuine strange thing that's happened to you. And Camille Kellner is saying, I dressed up as a Swedish person. And now, if you're not from Sweden, that would be cultural appropriation. And he's clarifying, but I looked Arabic. I can also speak Swedish. Well, that's good. I wonder how many different languages we've got going on in here. I wonder, has anyone ever found themselves talking in tongues? A lot of the very evangelical Christians who would be very much against all what we're doing now and all of this, a lot of them do end up speaking in tongues, which I think is dabbling in the occult a little bit, isn't it? The hidden. Well, we've got the first call of the night. Happy Halloween. Who's this?
Happy Halloween.
Return of the Mac. You love a good scary story. What have you got for us?
Before we get into the story, but I'd just like to say, are you wearing eyeliner, mate?
No, this is genuine blood. I look like the last time I tried to get in the ring.
To be honest with you, my dad was a makeup artist, and
that's very honest.
It is very like it looks good. It looks like when you stand far away. It looks like you actually cut yourself. So it's a great job for a makeup. I'm impressed.
Not bad. The special effects are on fire tonight.
I like it.
Mac, is Halloween a big thing in your house?
Well, I used to trick or treat back in the day, and but if you want to talk about spooky stories, I've seen some strange phenomenons, but Islamically, it goes back to the jinn.
Okay, thought it might do. Yeah, but how far are we going back?
The tongues bit that you're talking about. I've seen videos of the Pope or the Vatican, trying to do exorcism, and you can see that the person, the patient, was talking in tongues, and that's where I think it comes from.
But talking in tongues is seen as a good thing. Now, you've got people that start changing their voice when they're possessed by a devil, which looks quite satanic. But on the evangelical side of Christianity, they believe that they talk in tongues, which is a divine language that only God understands. And this goes back to Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit descended and they all began to speak different languages. Have I got that right? But speaking in tongues is seen by those Christians that practice it as a good thing. But this is a thing with religion. Often you'll find the same phenomenon interpreted differently. So someone talking in tongues, a Catholic, might say, well, we need to exorcise him. There's a demon in there. An evangelical might say, no, this is great. He's talking in tongues. This is revelation coming out. Whereas a Muslim might say, similar to the Catholic, we need to perform an exorcism, or the Arabic word that they call is ruqya. You need a raqi to come and perform ruqya to cast out the demon, the jinn. This person is Majnoon, and of course we know Majnoon, taken by the jinn, means crazy. So mental illness, talking in tongues, or being possessed by jinn or a demon. I think it could all be the same thing, and people are interpreting it differently. But which one happens?
Mental health. That's what everyone thought. If people that were crazy, they would put it down to mental health. They didn't know about anything back in the 70s.
Yeah, and sadly, some of them still do, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, so some of them still believe, have that faith that they had 100 years ago. But yeah, that's the scary thing that I just thought I'd bring to you.
But has it happened to you, Mac? Have you felt that you've been possessed?
Not possessed, but if I tell you, you're going to think it's silly. As my main things are, I don't know if, but then again, God dreams is one thing that I've always. This is why I said Edgar Casey. The other thing I can say that's weird was one time I was on my phone and I actually hung up and I threw it on my bed. Went to get a drink from the fridge, and I come back and I was looking for like it's the funniest part is I put my phone on silent because I didn't want to. I just hung up with a person and I didn't want to speak to them, so I threw it on my bed. But when I come to look for it, and I couldn't find it, and I was thinking, this can't be a coincidence. It was a bit mad. And a few times, a few things did happen. I misplaced it, and like there was funny ways of it being indicated of where it is, and it's like I can't. But like, and the second thing was something was behind my curtain, and I don't know what happened. Something just blew and my curtain just kind of flapped a little bit, and I was like, that's weird. So I moved my curtain and I found what I was looking for.
Mac!
These things have actually happened to me.
The curtain moved.
I can't explain it.
Inexplicable. All right. Well, look, Mac, thanks for giving us the opening story of the night.
There you go. But thank you anyway.
You're welcome, brother.
The makeup. I just wanted to comment on the makeup.
Good work, bro. Thank you very much. Nice one. That's Mac there, and his scary story is the curtain moved and he wasn't sure how it was moving. Scary stuff. Don't know what to say. Can you beat that? Have you got a scarier story of things that go bump in the night? 33X is saying, you think God would be able to understand all languages? Well, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? But apparently that's why we speak many different languages. God did it as a punishment. The Tower of Babel, which we've mentioned before. But I'm still looking for a better or scarier story than Mac's story there. 07491 751 203. Maybe you came home and things had moved around. They talk about Poltergeist. This is the German word for playful ghost. Geist meaning ghost auf Deutsch. And they seem to be... Are they in houses that want... and they want someone to move out or something? I don't know. We've got another call. Caller 2. Welcome. Who's this?
Hello, Triple T. I'm calling from Pakistan.
Oh, hello, Triple T. We love hearing from you. I think so. Sound check. I hope we're hearing Triple T well enough. I bet something scary happened to you in Pakistan, didn't it?
Well, when I first moved to Pakistan, it's not quite. It's Kashmir.
That must have been scarier enough, wouldn't it?
Well, it was a new place. Yeah, it was scary, but hey, not too bad.
Okay.
But when I first got here, where my house was, where my ancestral home was, it was up on a mountain in the middle of absolutely nowhere, pitch black, on the top of a mountain. You couldn't even get there there was no roads. There was just nothing. To get there, we have to walk for like an hour or something silly like that. But anyway, on the first night, I got to that home, which was uninhabited for maybe 30 years or something, and
without anyone coming in, like no, what do you call them? People that live in their house when you're not there. What are they? Squatters.
House sitters.
Oh, squatters or
because
freeloaders.
As it was up in the mountains, it's probably very difficult for the squatters to even get there.
Okay, well, only the most determined of squatters, yeah.
One of the fancy places.
Yeah.
I guess in England they have the factories or the warehouses where.
I've been to a few illegal raves in there.
It must be. Yeah. It must be. That's what they're for. And so when I first came, there's no one in sight. It's just one house on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And at night, all I could hear, I woke up. I fell asleep through jet lag, and I think I must have woke up around midnight or something. All I could hear was Omer. all I could hear was just these names. All these strange names. Akbar, Abdul. I thought maybe someone's just shouting out these names.
Was it all from one particular voice?
It wasn't from a voice, but it was like, I guess, as it was mountains, maybe someone was saying these names, and but then no one knew me.
And was it a man's name, a woman's name, or a woman's voice rather?
I guess if I'm being honest, I was just too afraid to really register that. But when I heard Triple T,
yeah, I mean that's a traditional Pakistani name, so probably there's a lot of Triple T's, isn't there?
You never know. People have all sorts of names, and you have
Omar, Kareem, Iqbal, Triple T. They're just reeling off the names. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have lots of Chinese people currently living in Kashmir, where I am.
Is that right?
And so yeah, they're here for the Silk Road, actually.
Oh yeah.
Working on this, lovely people. But anyway, I could hear the names being hurled out, and I guess I was young and I was fierce, and I decided to, after about like an hour of hearing these names being shouted out, I decided, that's it, I've had enough, I'm gonna go and investigate. And I walked to the end.
Maybe it was just like a local school, and they were doing the register.
No, as I said, it was midnight. Second, it's in the middle of
night school.
There are no schools, just one house.
Okay.
No, there's even any school. There's just no one around. It's just one big house.
A ghost school.
Living in now. I decided, which was a huge mistake, to really start to investigate.
And
I thought, you know what? Let me find. Is this true? Are these ghosts? Who are these people?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Yeah.
I wasn't.
I mean, who were you going to call?
I guess. No one, because I don't think they had phone line there. But I walked to the edge of the house, the courtyard.
This was in your neighbourhood, yeah?
This was
something strange.
At least it was probably 2 in the morning, I think, by now.
That doesn't look good.
I decided to investigate, and I walked from one side of the house to the other, trying to figure out. Now, this was a huge mistake. If you hear voices at night, do not go out and try to figure out what's going on. So
stay
I went
in.
to one side of the house.
Stay alert. Stay alert as well.
Yeah, I guess I was alert, but I just had this this interest and this intriguement, and if that's the word.
Well, curiosity killed the dog, as you know.
Yeah. And the human too, actually, they should say. So I walked to the edge. Now, when I got to the edge of the house, I really started to focus on these voices and on these names. Now, the name Triple T kept on coming up. So,
along with other names as well.
Along with other names, but I think every third or fourth name was my name, Triple T.
Okay.
So it was just something I just had to go and figure out, try to understand what's going on. I'm not believing in ghosts and all this nonsense. So, and it just wasn't a voice of a human as well. It was more like a combination of a male and a female.
Come on, surely. It was gender fluid, gender neutral.
Yeah, something in between.
And maybe a child's voice then. Maybe it was a child's voice.
At times it could have been.
At times.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But either way, it's very scary kind of voice, and it was the name, it wasn't like, hey, Triple T, it was an elongated kind of Triple T.
Okay, yeah. I'm with you.
It would go like that. And I was very, very scared. Now, as I'm walking back and forth now, I'm trying to figure out, I knew that there's a neighborhood nearby, so I'm trying to figure out, is there anyone around? And the closest, house must have been like a mile or at least half a mile away. So I'm flashing a torchlight that I had. What do they call it? Flashlight, torchlight, whatever it's called. And I'm trying to figure out, is there anyone there? So I've got, that's like a weapon. Light is also like a weapon, like the police carry. So I can't see anyone. I'm flashing that around everywhere. And I walk to the edge of the house. And I've been hearing Triple T. Triple T. Now, when I got to the edge of the house, and the big, huge gates, standing there, and that's when it got really worse. That's when I started to hear Triple T, come here, come here.
Wow.
Now, I kid you not.
Don't kid me. That's when you went home.
That's what I was home. That's when I ran in and locked my door because I knew something is going on, something very scary is going on. And
did you run upstairs?
Yeah, I ran.
Well, that's the only place where there's nowhere to run. You trap yourself upstairs.
Yeah. But the sad thing is, when I got back to my room, I ran. When I heard, "Come here, come here," and then the problem was the voice was intensified. It was about 50. It seemed like 50 people.
Gosh, it sounds like it was really intense.
Yeah, it was scary.
I
was sweating profusely.
I spent the weekend with some girl guides once. That was intense.
Oh yeah, well, it was.
We stayed in separate tents. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. But it was a strange experience. And now I ran back to my room as fast as I could because before that I was okay. I thought I was just hearing, somebody just howling all the wolves
at the moon.
Whatever. But even then, it would have been I guess, was my mind playing tricks on me? Were they really saying Triple T or Triple T?
Your mind was telling you no, wasn't it?
But when I got closer to the edge of the house, I realized that somebody or something was saying Triple T. And then not only were they
a parrot. Was it a parrot?
No, I don't know.
Parakeet.
No, it was very loud. Parrots are not too
Do
loud.
you like parrots? You sound like you've seen a cockatoo, or a parrot, or a parakeet. No, or
no, I haven't seen
okay.
I've just seen kind of like a white or a green one here and
there. Yeah, why not? They've got those. But there's birds in. What are the birds that live in southwest London? Are they parakeets?
Oh, you know them.
The bright green ones. Yeah, yeah. They migrated from Africa to Wimbledon and other places.
Oh, they're kind of Africans.
Yeah, immigrants. They've
British Africans. But anyway, when I ran, as I quickly end the story.
Yeah, quickly.
I ran back to the. So now when I started to hear Triple T being said from about 50 different whatever it was beings, I ran back and then furthermore saying, "Come here." So I ran back into the house, ran back into the room as fast as I could. I locked the door, and you know what? When I got back, I locked the door. And the bed that I was sleeping on
was covered in. Oh no, it was.
Actually moved. And now I just decided to run.
Damn cleaner.
I was in between the house. Should I go in the house, out the house? So it was really a terrifying experience that happened.
Triple T, I hope that hasn't traumatized you too much by sharing it with us tonight.
They say a problem shared
is a problem. Well, you've just split it with 2,000 almost viewers and listeners worldwide. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you and happy.
Yes, Halloween Mubarak to you too. Thank you. That's Triple T giving us a scary story and a good question from PSV Eindhoven, who we haven't seen for a while. Is what is the best horror movie ever? Now, the correct answer is probably The Exorcist. Not that it's the scariest movie now, but that it was so scary when it came out at the time. And special effects are one thing. You can have realistic looking monsters. I mean, I don't know how you have a realistic looking monster. But the scariest thing you can have is a realistic idea. And The Exorcist was a concept that people believed could actually be real. I bet you believe it might be real. But we've got another caller. Who's this? Rambo. Yeah. Hello, Rambo. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
Okay, the scariest thing happened to me was I was about 11, and when my father died, my grandfather died, he came up the stairs and said goodbye to me. He waved his hand and said, "I'm going."
When your grandfather passed away, did you say?
Yeah.
And he came up the stairs after he'd passed, or at the time?
Yes, as he passed.
Really?
Yeah.
And was it physically actually him, or this was a vision? Just to clarify.
No, it was him.
Okay, so this is something that happened in real life. It's not a inexplainable thing. He came to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, because he loved me so much.
Oh man, well, I mean that's a special moment. I hope it wasn't too scary for you as an 11-year-old.
And then I ran to my mother and I said, "Mom, my grandfather just came up the stairs and said I'm going by."
Yeah.
And at 5 minutes later, I got a call from my auntie saying that my grandfather passed away.
Right. So hang on a minute. How do you explain that?
Because I have sixth sense. I can sense people before they die. I can see them dying. Like I predict that they're gonna die. Like they come in dreams and tell me they're going.
You haven't phoned me up to tell me anything important, have you? How often has this happened to you?
Since my grandfather died.
Since that time, you've had this sort of premonitions, really. And do you warn people, or do you feel it's better to just leave it and let nature take its course?
Sometimes I warn people, sometimes I don't. It depends who can take it, who can't take it. Some people, I might tell them, "Oh, your father's going to die tomorrow."
Oh, you'd inform the family. Okay.
And then they're going to say, "Oh, you want my father dying today or tomorrow?" You know, they don't understand. But when I die, and look, I had this premonition that your father was going to die.
So afterwards, And what do you think it means? Is this just a sense that you are highly tuned into what's happening, or what does it mean?
And also, the other thing I want to tell you, which is more scarier than this.
Okay.
When people die and they get buried, well, it's been a split second when people like open their eyes in the grave and then close their eyes again. I can sense that they're opening their eyes and they get scared and they go.
And how can you confirm this if it's happening in the grave, or is it just something you get a feeling of?
No, but the person's dead.
Okay. Yeah.
Say my grandfather or my next door neighbor died. Okay. When they're buried, when I know they're gonna get buried at the time that they get buried, and I go to sleep at night, I can open my eyes, and I can see the blackness in the grave, and I can see the wood in the grave.
Wow.
And then suddenly, after about 5 seconds, I'm back to normal. I don't feel anything anymore.
Wow. And this is not necessarily a negative thing. It's just something that you have been gifted with, burdened with. It's not bothering you. It's not making you feel anxious. It's just is.
Sometimes it's scary because opening your eyes in the grave and you just can't do anything. It's a bit scary, but you get used to it after a while.
Wow.
In the beginning it was scary. In the very beginning it was scary because you open your eyes, you close your eyes, you go to sleep, and suddenly you open your eyes, you open your eyes and you see you're in the grave. And
wow.
You can't touch, you can't move your hands and legs, you can't move your eyes.
That's terrifying. Well, Rambo, we appreciate you calling us. One of the scary things that happened to me was I ate a particularly spicy chili, and I started having a really bad reaction to it. But I doubt you would know anything about that.
Well, I know if you eat spicy chili, you get nightmares.
Yeah, is that right? Well, they say if you eat chilies and that sort of thing, it can have you can get a never mind if you smoke the wacky backy, it's even worse. Rambo, thank you so much for getting in touch with us.
Before you go, I want to ask
you a question. Go on, yeah.
Okay. They say that going to knocking people's door.
Yes. Is it still on? Is it haram? I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think?
I don't know because a lot of people say it's haram.
I think it may. I think it might be Macron. I don't know. I think there's nothing wrong if you're. Who am I? I've got no idea. But I don't personally think there's anything wrong with taking part in a community-based activity if everyone in that community is sort of happy with it. If you're going around throwing eggs at people, then definitely that's not something good to do.
Like I take my brother kids to the doors and do what's called trick or treating.
Yeah, trick or treating. Yeah.
They get sweets and all that.
Yeah.
But in Islamic eyes, you're begging people.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're one of those people that likes to take things literally.
On your session, say how many people think that this is haram?
All right. Well, there's a question for the audience. Do you think that going house to house asking for sweets counts as begging, and in which case you might say that it's forbidden? Rambo, thank you so much for injecting a little bit of horror. Nice one, brother. Thank you very much. I'll try not to. I'll stay off the chilies. Nice one. Thank you very much. PSV Eindhoven in the chat was saying that he watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and they were all very good movies, and he likes the movies from the 80s and the 90s. 33X is saying, The Others was the scariest movie. I was 24 when I saw it. I slept with the light out for months. And 33X is saying Rambo should be working for police. Maybe he is. Maybe he's working for the... Who did Rambo work for when he went to Afghanistan? Shh, don't say it. We already know. But yeah, lots of scary experiences being shared tonight. And in the news, I was speaking earlier on with a friend who told me the sad news that Sean Connery has passed away, the original James Bond, who has passed away at the tender age of 90 years old. And this friend, who will remain nameless, was saying, oh, you see what happens when people sell their soul to the devil. They end up getting killed on Halloween, as if Sean Connery had somehow dabbled in the occult. But I think 90 years old is a ripe old age, and we shouldn't be too concerned about that. But we're always looking for these patterns and these coincidences. And someone else who passed away not so long ago, it was a couple of days ago, Nobby Stiles, England footballer, one of the last remaining winners of the World Cup in 666, died near Halloween, you never know. And it just got me thinking about when we move on to a new era and finally lose touch with these links to the past. And I can remember when we lost the last World War I veteran, and we would be... I think there's still plenty of World War II veterans around, but we will come to a time when there's a final World War II veteran. And the England football team have not many left from their World Cup winning squad. And I don't know, I find it sad when we pass these chapters. And the other one that I was thinking of was the 1916 Easter Rising. All of them are long gone, the Irish militants that rose up in 1916. But one of the sons of one of the rebels, Michael Mallin's son, Joseph Mallin, who went on to become a priest as his father had wished, and he lived in Japan until the age of, I think, 104 years old. And he had been with his father in the prison in Kilmainham jail the night before he was executed. and I don't think he recollected anything of it. But as a 2-year-old baby, he was in there with Michael Mallin the night or before he was executed, and this young boy, Joseph Mallin, grew up to be a priest as his father had wished, and he went to live in Japan. And I remember hearing about this when I did the tour of Kilmainham Jail, where Michael Mallin would have been executed along with many others of the 1916 Rising, and to learn that there was someone still alive who had been in the jail on the night before the executions. It was a crazy sort of step back into the past. And we should meet these people that have links to the past, and you should make it your business to go and speak to the oldest person you know and ask them how was life back then, because one day, God forbid, people will be asking us, what was it like, Grandad, before the lockdown that went on and on and on and on and on. PSV Eindhoven is asking, do you know the Conjuring House? It's in London. It's in Enfield. I looked it up. Do you know, I don't know the Conjuring House. Is it a place where the magic happens? I'm not too familiar with that. You have to explain to me a little bit more, PSV Eindhoven. And what is Halloween like in the Netherlands? Is it Americanized as we have it here? Or are there traces of the native European traditions and celebrations? I don't know if the Netherlands would have had something like we had on the British Isles, which was Celtic prior to the Romans, prior to Christianization. But I would assume everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere will have had some kind of seasons changing, clocks going back, equinox celebration. And at the opposite end, it's the springtime. So we are exactly 6 months away from the springtime celebrations when the clocks go forward. And the equinox is to do with it being equal. And that's why Samhain, I think, meant half dark, half light. It's when the days and the nights are the same length. So we're not quite at the shortest day of the year, but we're somewhere between the longest day of the year and the shortest day of the year. And it's no coincidence that Easter, the spring celebration, when we have Easter eggs and Easter rabbits and chicks and all the things representing new life that actually have nothing to do with the story of Jesus, but everything to do with these pagan springtime festivals. We have that in March or April, whenever the church decides that it's Easter this year. And it's a shame that this word pagan has become almost a swear word, almost a word for heathen, which is another loaded term for disbeliever, and it's kind of negative. But these people had a very, very strong spirituality, and when Christianity came, it had to attach itself to these pagan beliefs. Otherwise, it would never have caught on. And similarly with Islam, and for example, the Hajj was practiced long before the Quran was revealed. However, the Muslims made it clear that they were, in a way, claiming the pagan beliefs before, but explaining that they had gone astray, and that the original idea, as may be the case in many cultures, would have been some kind of monotheism, believing in one God, and it then changed into people worshipping the sun, worshipping the moon, worshipping nature, worshipping hundreds of different goddesses and idols, and what have you. And I was pondering on the point that these solar calendar festivals like Easter, like Halloween that we just had, that are to do with where the Earth is in the solar system, hence our seasonal, our winter festivals, our spring festivals, they are very much attached to the solar calendar. And you can understand why people that worshipped nature would want to be worshipping in tune with nature and with the seasons. Whereas when Islam came, the calendar becomes not solar but lunar and attached to the moon. And a lot of people falsely call Islam a moon religion and think that the symbol is the moon, but really that's more to do with the Ottoman Empire than anything else. The countries that have the moon and crescent on their flag are Muslim by identity. I think they're really imitating the Ottoman Empire and the sort of a Western idea of what it means to be Muslim. But definitely that religion detached itself from the solar calendar and adopted the lunar calendar. Hence the Islamic year is 10 days shorter than the solar calendar. And for example, Ramadan appears to be 10 days earlier every year if you go by the solar calendar. So I wonder if that's a deliberate method to detach from the seasons and worshipping nature. And if you look at the Arabic months, Ramadan, Shaban, Rabi al-Awwal, Rabi al-Awwal means the first spring. So these months originally would have been attached to the seasons, but now years later, you know, Ramadan is in summer, eventually it will be in winter. So I wonder if there's a wisdom in detaching from a solar calendar to a lunar calendar. But certainly for the ancient civilizations, the moon and the sun were so important. You can sort of understand why people would end up worshipping them. Brian Cannot Tell is here. Shalom, Brian. Wonderful to have you watching and listening. There's a spiritual man, if anyone ever wants to speak to one. And I think these seasons are important to be in tune with. It doesn't mean that you have to worship them. And even having detached from the solar calendar, the Islamic religion does follow the sun during the day. It follows the sun during the day for the times of the prayers from the morning to the evening, and it follows the moon for the month. So maybe these are two different guides. You've got the sun for one purpose and the moon for another, but it's certainly the moon and the sun have been essential to every civilization throughout history. But we've got another caller. Who's this? Pardon? Is anybody there? Is there anyone in the chat who knows how to perform an Oh, that was spooky. I don't know what that was. We've got our first call from a jinn, within the jinn. Muhammad Hamdan is saying we got the stars as well for direction. That's a brilliant point. The stars. And I believe the Quran describes the stars as being like lamps. And definitely the stars would have been important for ancient cultures. And it's amazing how much the ancient cultures knew about stars that we didn't know. Just by, what did they have to gain? They must have had a powerful telescope. And We talk about, Brian Canetzel will understand this one, the Sabbath being the seventh day, and the day that God created everything. And for the Jewish people, Shabbat is observed as a day, or rather it's the day when God rested, having completed everything. I know Muslims will say God doesn't rest, but it's certainly the seventh day after creation. Seventh day, Sabbath. What does Sabbath refer to in the sky? It's Saturn. Saturn is the seventh body in the heavens. If we go the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Yeah, there you go, got it. Saturn is the seventh body in the solar system. The Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. This is what they were talking about. But how on earth did people that wrote the Bible 2,000 years ago plus understand that? And Brian Canetzel is saying, upset the AI. Yeah, probably have. Probably said the wrong thing. Who cares? They'll never take us alive. But I did have a request in one of the comments today that if we ever are being taken off air, we'll play Tevin Campbell's Can We Talk one more time, which we will. Ramin Bani is saying France celebrated their New Year on November the 1st. That's interesting. You'll have to explain to me why France would celebrate their New Year on November the 1st, but we do know that November used to be the 9th month of the year, and December was the 10th. You can the clue's in the name. October 8, the octagon. But July and August were added by Julius Caesar and Augustus, these vain leaders that wanted a month named after them. So yeah, even the months that we had used to be decimal, and now we've got 12 of them. So the seasons have changed over the years. You've got the leap years that we have to have. So it's, and this comes back to what Mac was saying about the number 360, and if you half a circle you get 180, and if you half that you get 90. Every time you half a circle you get digits that will add up to the number 9. Years, you would think, should be 300. If it was perfect, if everything was in alignment, it would be 360 days a year, and you could easily divide the seasons into 90 days each. But it's slightly off. It's almost as if something happened, some cataclysmic event, and everything was kind of shaken out of kilter. And people do even suggest that perhaps at one point the moon was part of Earth, and something struck the Earth and a piece of it fell off. Who knows what happened back then? But some of these ancient apocryphal stories and myths and legends will have an element of truth about this hidden history, and it is fascinating. And even the word moon, mono, one, singular, and in the French, lune, lunar, lonely, being alone, lonesome. There's this idea and a sense that the moon is lonely in the sky. He's on his own, the man in the moon. Was there at one point more than one moon? And now there's only one in the sky. And the sun, le soleil, le sol, sol, solitary, one, singular. How is it that the moon and the sun both have names that can mean something on their own? They're so lonely up there. And in the chat, Ramian Bani is saying Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. Oh, Samhain. Have I been? Oh, I'm not a very good Celt, am I? If I've been mispronouncing it, Samhain. The Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland and the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's definitely where we got it from. Vagabond 88817 is saying Shaker not stirred. That's a tribute to our great legend we've lost, Sean Connery. And I was surprised to hear that he was 90 years old. You think of these people, they're sort of timeless. And he's a great Celt, Sean Connery, being from Scotland, with a mix of Irish background as well. And of course, he upset a lot of people by switching allegiance from Celtic, we got a caller, to Rangers, but you know, no one's perfect. We got a caller on the line. This is the Turk. Welcome, Turk. Happy Halloween. It's still Halloween, isn't it? For another half hour. Happy Halloween.
Yes, thank you, Habibi. Happy Halloween.
Yeah,
happy new second lockdown.
Yeah, I know, but we're trying to focus on the positive. Don't worry about that. It'll all be okay.
Okay, well, that'll be a new video. But
yeah.
Halloween,
thank you.
My favorite costume, which I would love to dress up as, would be the Great White Hope, Donald J. Trump, for the President of the United States history, the best president in history. It would just be such an honor to address myself as the greatest human being ever to run America.
Yes.
He was sent by God.
Yes. Four more.
Yeah. Liberal pathogen.
4 more days or 4 more years? We don't know yet.
4 more years, and hopefully 4 more years of a Trump administration run by Ivanka Trump.
Maybe.
The beautiful Ivanka, and Jared Kushner is going to be the first man president, first vice president, not first man president. You know that first lady.
Yeah. The first man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're nothing if not partisan. Don't worry, Ted. We'll do a whole show. We'll go live on the night itself. I'm going to see what statistics I can get up on the screen, and we can see what's happening, and you can phone up to celebrate if you wish.
Yes, that would be good.
Superb.
What are we talking about?
I mean, I just wanted to know what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you. Have you ever had any sort of paranormal experience, any kind of jinn or something like that?
Well, I had a few scary dreams, but they weren't really scary because I enjoyed them.
Okay.
Nothing really paranormal.
No.
But
have you never done a Ouija board?
No, what's that?
That's when you put like yes and no and different letters on a board, and you all put your hands down and you say, "Is anybody there?" And it goes yes. What's your name? And it sort of spells it out.
I've never done that.
No.
I've never tried to contact Satan.
Okay, well,
like the Hollywood elite that function well with Satan as their right-hand man.
Yeah, they are a bit satanic, aren't they? Sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes. The only scariest thing that happened to me is that I almost got hit by a car, but that was because I got something stuck in my tire. That was when I was a baby, riding a bicycle on the mountains of Achibaba.
Wow. Well, we're thankful that you pulled through. Turk, thank you.
Praise Allah.
Thank you for your input. Wonderful.
Anytime. I'll call in. No problem.
You're always welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Turk. That's the Turk there who was nearly killed on a bike. Funny, he's mentioning dressing up as Donald Trump for Halloween. That was popular a few years ago. It's probably been popular this year as well. I wonder if anyone's dressing up as creepy Joe Biden. And I didn't dress up as Donald Trump. I blacked myself up and went as Barack Obama. Only joking. That would be inappropriate. I went as Robert Mugabe. Another joke there. Yeah, let's not go down the cultural appropriation or non-PC route. It's almost midnight. How many times have you listened to Michael Jackson's Thriller? That's got to be the best Halloween track, isn't it? I was pumping. If we wouldn't get the copyright claim, I'd be playing it right now. That or the Addams Family, and of course the theme tune to Halloween. I wonder what it is about, and a musician would be able to tell you this literally. What is it that makes scary music scary? I know, and we got the keyboard out one night and we were playing, having a go at playing different tunes. We'll do it again one night. It was quite fun. But you get your major chords, your do, re, mi, fa, well, however the note goes. But those chords sound very happy. And then when you drop the middle note, just half a tone, you get a minor chord and you get this very sort of scary sound. And everyone agrees that it's eerie and scary, but I can't exactly explain how. It must be sort of to do with the frequency. And as human beings, we would tend to agree about what disturbs us and what breaks our equilibrium. PSV Eindhoven is asking if we've seen the interview with Bob Dylan. He confessed that he sold his soul to the chief commander. Yeah, there are many, or he confessed his soul to the chief commander. Yeah, we have many different words, don't we, for the unmentionable, the Iblis, Shaitan, Diablo. Some people say the great architect. I don't know, but don't sell your soul to anyone. And I remember having a very spiritual chat one evening with Andre McIntyre, and we were talking about the temptation of Jesus. And Andre was asking me, why would the devil offer Jesus something he already had? He was saying that you follow me and you'll become all powerful and you'll have this and you'll have that. And Andre was under the impression that Jesus is, a messenger of God. He's got all that anyway. How could you be bought with it? And I kind of concluded, well, no, the point is he cannot be bought. Don't have there are some things worth more than anything. And you've got to, when you find that in someone, when you see that in someone, even if you disagree with them. I made this point before about the Reverend Ian Paisley, who stood up in, I think, the European Court possibly, and denounced the Pope, and he said, "You are the Antichrist," and everyone found it really rude and disrespectful. But Ian Paisley was standing up for what he believed, and when the speaker said, "Dr. Paisley, you need to shut up," basically, he said, "Due to my conscience, I cannot." And you have to respect that. Someone who cannot be bought, whether you agree with them or disagree with them, there are some things that you can't put a price on them. And that is what I think spirituality boils down to, isn't it? There is more to life than just this physical stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had a great Halloween. Stay safe. PSV Eindhoven is warning us that Satan and his army are real, 100%. Well, take heed, people. You heard it here first. And may we all seek refuge from all things evil. May we look after each other and survive, hopefully, this temporary little, what are they calling it? Breaker, code breaker, icebreaker, I don't know what. Stay safe, everyone, and I hope you had a happy and blessed Halloween. This has been Lessons for Life, and we'll do it all again soon. We were here, and we're gone. Laters.